I think that support group has helped me personally because from the minute you hear you need advanced diagnostics to the minute you hear you have breast cancer, I feel that there's a lot of common fears and anxieties that most women share. And when you try and speak with family members or doctors, they may not relate in a way that a woman who's been in your shoes would. And so when I started asking my physician a lot of questions that were more about the emotional aspects and the healing process, he wasn't as comfortable talking to me about that and encouraged me to go to support group at Moses Cone. And from there, I attended my first meeting. I had finished my surgeries, and I went to a meeting, and there were a lot of people that were a lot sicker than me there. I wasn't very comfortable with that. I left the meeting. I was very upset. And I went home, and I was visibly upset. And my son asked, what's the matter? Did it not help? And I said, no, I don't think it helped me. It was very sad for me because I felt like I didn't belong there because my cancer wasn't as bad as some of the women that were there. And he responded, and he was about 10 at the time. He responded with, maybe you weren't there for them to help you. Maybe you were there to help them. And so now I've been going for 2 years now, and there have been a lot of women. There's a lot of diversity in stages of cancer and backgrounds of the women, but we all have common fears. We all have common daily problems and how to move on from our cancer treatments. And I just feel like the benefit of speaking to someone across the table and realizing that they've been on the same journey you have has been very helpful to me. I feel like there's a lot of questions that arise about medical therapy, and there's a whole new vocabulary that you're exposed to that you're not aware of. And so support group, by people having experienced these things, they can kind of put it in common terms and let you relate to some of the things that your doctor has already talked to you about, especially when you have choices to make. I feel like that's really important. I feel like it's extremely important that women avoid the internet for their information. And so support group, if you're going to use the internet, helps guide you to reliable sources on the internet, which I think is imperative because the wrong information can be very depressing. It can give you misinformation that you then don't trust in your doctors as well. All of those things can ultimately result in your treatment not going as smoothly as it should. And so I feel like getting the proper information is very important. And in support group, we highly encourage that. In addition, I feel like we present a lot of information about local and national resources available to breast cancer patients, which again is helpful depending on each person's story. Certain things may apply to their case versus other people. And so I feel like that's important. We add a lot of humor in support group. A lot of times that's the way many of us cope. And that just kind of adds the human factor. You don't have a doctor telling you, this is how you should feel, or this is what most people feel. When someone jokes about something that you can't help but laugh about, you just get to a point where you're done crying and you just have to laugh. We have a lot of funny stories in support group that I feel really helps women heal. And so that's important. And the stories that we hear about each other, about our spouses, about our parents, about our children, those are the things that doctors can't prepare you for, how you get through your treatment, how you deal with those situations after treatment. And those have been invaluable to me. And I feel like a lot of women have benefited from the experience of the other women around the table. And that strength and resilience that the women that have already been through the experience can provide to someone who has the deer in the headlights, oh my gosh, this is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. I don't think you can really replace that. And so I feel not just for me, but for the women that I've met, that has been one of the strongest aspects of support group. And I've made a lot of really great friends that I feel like no matter what stage I'm at, whether I have a bad day and slip back to that day of diagnosis, that you just, sometimes you go back there. everyone seems to understand that, and you don't have to feel guilty about feeling it. You're in a safe environment, and it's nice to know that's always there, no matter what phase of treatment you're at. And the fact that you can see people that are 5 years post-treatment or 10 years post-treatment, when you're newly diagnosed and you feel like there might not be a next year, when you see someone who has a further stage than you, then you go, I can do this. And support group can either have a very calming effect for those of us who get a little overexcited, or can have a very empowering effect for those who are just afraid. And so that's basically why I think support group is really good for any woman that's diagnosed.